Sweet. Okay, here we go. Let's just sit still for a second, right? And close your eyes. Whenever it feels good to you or whenever it feels comfortable, remember to close your eyes, because what we're trying to do is to tune into our sense of touch, right? To feel our skin and our muscles and our bones. And us humans are smart and our brains are big and powerful, but a lot of times we think so well and our mind is so fast and busy that we sort of forget the rest of our life, which is like what our body's doing and our emotions and our spirit and our thoughts, other kinds of thoughts, right? We get on sort of a one-track mind and it's easy to get lost in that. So I think of yoga as a way to take a break or just to do something different for a little while. Just like getting up and walking outside if you've been doing homework or reading or washing dishes and you want to take a little break, reset, get a breath of fresh air. Yoga is like that because it's something different from what we usually do on a day-to-day basis. So next time you take a breath in, let that sit you up nice and tall. Breathe in and reach up with the top of your head so you get real tall on the inhale, and then on the exhale, settle down into your seat. Right? It's not really a big movement. It's mostly just sort of paying attention. So let's take another inhale in and reach up through the top of your head, and then exhale, settle back down. Okay, let's use our right hand here to prop us up, and we're going to turn the left hand up, and it's going to come up and over like so. And it's easy here to start going backwards, so go the other way and like lift your heart or lift your sternum here in the front, and that puts the stretch in the side of our body where we want it. All sorts of things can happen when our back bends, and those are okay too to explore. But this goes best when we stay sort of forward and present with the front of the body. But again, it doesn't have to look any certain way. It took me a long time to figure out, like, I should be doing these poses based on what I'm feeling as opposed to what I look like. Because I'm still constantly like checking, with my actual eyes. But it goes better and it's more fulfilling the more I can close my eyes and use my sense of touch to move me through. Okay, let's come on back upright. And this time we'll prop up with the left hand, and our right hand goes up, and it's gonna come up and over, okay? And I just try to find that point where I can feel gravity like pulling my head and my hand to the other side. And that pull is what's making the stretch in my right ribs and down to the hip. Try to find a place where you can just stay there for a little bit and just let it stretch. Okay, that's great. Let's come on back to center. And let's get our knees right in front of us, and we're gonna hug our knees in, okay? And first, press forward with your back, right? Push the front of your body forward using your back, right? Push them to the legs, and then keep your knees where they are, but let's bring the arms and hands out here and see if you can just lean back a little bit and float your feet, right? It's like a balancing thing. Just see if you can find a good place where it feels not too hard, it feels okay. And then maybe you want to try to straighten your knees a little bit, right? Just make a game out of it. This is the boat pose, right? So the hardest is the legs all the way out, so you can try that. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time there. Just keep it moving, right? Things are more interesting where instead of like an exercise that I have to do every day, it's like a fun game. That's a way it's a way for me to move differently and think differently, and it's again a good reset. Okay, this time when we stretch our legs out straight, let's bring them to the ground and reach up. Use this push to make our spine long and straight, and then we're just going to fold it forward over the legs. And we're trying to find this in the back of the calves and the back of the upper legs. And we just want to make the upper body comfortable. Once we found out how it's going to work, you know, the first part of the pose is getting settled and finding where we want to stretch, which I suggest is the back of the legs for this one. And then we find ways just to release into it, right? To let the rest of the body be comfortable. So we only have to do that one thing. And in this case, it's not even an active thing. We just have to be still and quiet and allow that stretch to happen. Allow the back of the legs to lengthen. Okay, now you can bend either knee as much as you want to. This is called the bow pose or the bow and arrow pose. We're going to take our left middle finger and index finger and loop up our left big toe, right? And you can bend that knee and bring it closer, or you can bend out there, you know, go to meet it, however you want to do it. Let's take our right middle and index finger and loop up the right big toe, okay? The left is the bow. Draw your arrow back towards your right ear, all right? And it's different for everybody, right? Just try to get that arrow string finger pulling back towards your right ear, okay? One more breath. All right, let's straighten them back out again. We'll just keep that grip if possible. This time our right is the bow. Draw your left arrow. Pull it back towards your left ear. Keep it dynamic, right? Keep it alive and moving and trying and changing. Because that's what our life and our body is like anyway, right? It's not ever still, right? It's never one thing that we can sort of nail down and define. We're a process, right? More than a being. So that's why I like to make sure, even when we're still, there's room to move and change and sort of shift. Okay, that's great. Let's bring both legs out straight again. And let's bend our right knee, and we're going to take our right foot out to the side. Okay? Our left knee is going to bend so that our left foot ends up right in front of us. If this one goes mostly to the hips, probably can feel it already, right? So use your hands in front of you. First, we're going to go this way. So use your hands to sort of guide you. And then just slowly, what I like to think of like pointing my heart or pointing my sternum at my left foot. And that makes sure that I'm going the way I think I'm going, right? And use your hands and arms so you can only go to that point where your hips say, whoa, that's far enough. We're paying close attention to our body, and we're noticing where it says to stop, because we're not trying to sprain ourselves or hurt anything, but we are trying to feel it, right? So we just change position until we feel the hips, and then we just stay there and keep breathing and keep feeling it. My teacher called hips, she referred to our hips as stress batteries, because when stressful things happen, we have a lot of moving parts and a lot of muscles, and different kinds of muscles meet at our hips. So when we get stressed, our muscles tighten up, and sometimes with the hips, they just stay tight. Like even after the stressful situation is gone, we keep that stress, and then it is coloring our life going forward, right? Even if the stressful event is past, sometimes we carry chronic tension, like tension that we don't know about. That's why it's insidious, because we don't feel it as tension until we release it. All right, let's come on back upright. We'll leave the legs where they are for a second, but we're going to take our hands just behind us and lean it back a little bit. Take your time. Find the place where you feel something happening. For me, it's like right outside my right hip for this one. Find something to feel, and then just stay there, stay with it, keep feeling. Okay, excellent. Let's come back up to our upright, and we'll just take our legs the other way. Okay, same deal here. We're going to aim our sternum at our right foot. Use your hands and arms to guide you. And then start to approach the right foot. Okay, let's come back up to center. And now we'll just use our hands right behind us and lean back. Okay, that's good. Let's get the left leg straight out in front of us, and then we're going to cross over with the right. And your right knee is bent, just make it comfortable, because we're going to be working mostly with the straight left leg, so we just want the right to be comfortable. And these are our heavy-duty stress buster poses, or anxiety busting poses, which is why I got into yoga, because I was always just sort of stressed and tense, and I still am. But now that I know how to do this, I enjoy it much more. And it's different. I use it as energy instead of just a barrier. So left leg is straight, right knee is bent. Let's reach up, right? Push up, and then fold forward from your hips. Notice when the back of the legs tell you, hey, that's a big stretch. And just pause there for a second. And then keeping that feeling of stretch, right? Stabilizing enough to feel how that's going to work. Now we just settle forward. Just let your upper body come to rest. Somewhere where it's comfortable, but the stretch is still happening. Okay, very cool. Let's come on back upright, and we'll just switch legs. So right is straight, left can either be crossed over or here inside the right leg, whatever way is most comfortable and most balanced. And then we'll use this push here to put space in our spine, right? Reach up tall, and then hinge forward from the hips. The moving part is the hips. We're reaching out long over the right leg. Notice when you feel a big stretch, and then pause there, sort of settle into that feeling of, I mean, it's an intense feeling, right? It's not totally comfortable, but get used to it and sort of pause there, find the amount that is doable this evening, and then just keep doing it, right? Make your upper body comfortable, right? I like to just sort of let my neck relax so my head is hanging loose, and I check in on my shoulders because sometimes I hold tight there, so I just make sure I'm as comfortable as I can while still letting that big stretch keep going. Okay, that's great. Let's come on back upright and let's stand up. We'll meet up towards the front of the mat. And so far, the corner pose, which is where our knees were bent and it was stretching our hips, that was sort of the outside of the hips. This is more about the lower back and the sacrum, which is where our spine plugs into our hips in the back. So to get there, let's step our feet together. And this is harder to balance. This is already a balancing pose, right? So if you feel like you're starting to tip over, just step out and catch yourself, or fall on over, but make sure you use your hands, you know? Make it enjoyable. Now, you can have your hands and arms out wide, like I think of this as like hula hoop style, or you can take your hands to the hips if this feels more balanced. But we're gonna start making tiny circles, right? Just pick a direction and start circling with the hips. Notice how that changes in your feet. Your feet have to sort of readjust, and then gradually let your spirals get bigger, or gradually let your circles get bigger, so that eventually we run up against our limit, right? This is as far forward as my hips will go, but I'm not stressing about it. I'm not worried about it. I'm enjoying that feeling of like riding the limit, right? Finding the place where you can go and just leaning on it or pushing against it a little bit. And there are poses where we use that limitation as a source of strength. And you can learn, especially with balancing poses, you learn to like lean against that limitation, and it's like another source of stability. All right, let's circle the other way. Whichever way you've been going, take your hip circles the other way. Okay, that's great. We'll keep our feet together for just a moment, and let's get a good bend in our knees, and let's bring our hands to the knees. Okay, and we're going to do some circles again, but these will be knee circles. So what we're going to do is to start to move our knees apart, and then they're going to circle so that they meet up when they're straight. They bend forward together, and then circle back. Take your time, just a few more passes through the knee circles. All right, let's start with our knees straight, and we'll just take the circle the other way. So now as our knees bend, that's when they're moving apart, and they'll meet up out front, bent, and then they'll come back, and then circle forward. I got some musical ankles. They're crackling and popping all the time. I feel like I got some choir members out there. I'm feeling some ankle echoes. Yes, great. I learned when I was young that those are bubbles in the synovial fluid, which is like the joint cushioning fluid. And what the popping is little bubbles popping, which I like to think about that. All right, let's come on back upright before we pop all of our bubbles up. And let's just give your feet a little space, right? Just stand comfortably. We don't have to have them straight together for this. And let's do a few moves from our Qigong practice. So yoga's from India, Qigong and Tai Chi are similar. They're from China. This is real slow flowing movement, right? So let's take our left foot forward a little bit. It's not a big stance like this. It's just a little bit to notice, like, you know, it's like half a foot length in front. And we're gonna let our left hand just be comfortable and rest on our left leg here. Now, we're gonna take our right hand up, right palm up, and the first move is the most difficult or the most complicated, but then it'll make sense afterwards. So what helps me is to imagine I have something in the palm of my hand like this, and I keep it up. So it's gonna tuck under right above my waist, and then it's gonna circle forward. So your wrist and the back of your hand goes forward. Now I'm holding my keys here, right? My hand's not upside down here. It's like this, right? Your wrist, the back of your hand, and when it gets in front of you, turn your hand palm up again. And now here's where we keep it up. It's gonna tuck in between your side and your elbow. And then when it gets behind you, we're just sweeping it forward like so. And then you can turn it up. Right, make a big, nice fluid circle out of it. And what really brings it home for me is attaching my eyes to my hand, right? Watching my hand in its whole circuit. is really satisfying and really centering for me. Okay, excellent. Now, I've never tried it this way, but let's go the other direction. So let's start with our palm up again, but our first move is to turn our palm down, and we're gonna scoop, right? Reverse it. So our arm goes back behind us, and then it's gonna curve under, right? Because eventually when our hand comes in, we want the palm up. So then it's gonna come forward, up, and then as we start to go back, we're leading with the cupped hand, right? This way. And then it's natural here to scoop under, right? Your hand just sort of keeps up. This is the first time I've tried it here too, you guys, so just make it work for you, right? There's no right or wrong way to do it. We're just trying to make it feel graceful, basically. Awesome. Let's try the other side. Okay, so our right foot is just a little bit ahead, and we'll let our right hand rest here on the right leg, and we'll do it the right way first, or the original way. So our palm is up, and it's going to start to rotate under. And then as our hand goes behind us, we start to sweep it forward and across, and then our palm turns up. And then it's going to tuck in. Okay, let's try it the other way. So we'll begin with the palm up right in front of us again, and then it's a sort of a 3/4 turn, right? So from palm up, it turns in, and then it's like a swimming stroke, like a breaststroke here, right? We're scooping back. Yes, exactly like that. And then our hand is going to stay cupped under so that we pass it in front of us until it's out front, and then here's where we scoop the water, and we support it as it comes in front of us. We sort of serve it. It's a serving movement. Very cool. Excellent. All right, let's do one more since we're here and we're moving around. This one is called push hands. So let's also lead with the right foot, just a small step forward, right? Half step forward. And we're going to get ready to push here with our hands. And we're going to match this one up with our breathing. So as we push, think of this as pushing the breath out. So this is the exhale. Pushing out and shifting forward over the front foot, and then your hands turn and you're pulling in the inhale, right? I think of this as my new fresh oxygen. I'm pulling it into my lungs. And when your hands are here in front of you, they're going to turn, and then we're going to push out to exhale and pull in to inhale. Good. And as you come in with your hands, you're shifting back into the back foot and those front toes lift. And as you push forward with the exhale, your back heel lifts to sort of give you a little more range. Okay, let's just switch our feet. So this time, the left foot is forward. It doesn't really make any difference with what we do with our hands. We're gonna get ready to push. That means we'll start with an exhale. So let's push the breath out. And then turn your hands. Inhale the hands back. Exhale the hands forward. After the last push, when your hands are far away, as they start to pull in, let's step back with the left foot. And then to finish this off, we're going to turn our hands down and we're going to push that last exhale down. All right, breathe out, push it down, and then pause for a moment before you breathe in. And then we breathe in, we're just going to stack our hands up right here under our belly button. Because in this system, Tai Chi, Qigong, acupuncture, Chinese medicine, this is where the center of your body's energy lives. It's called your dantian, right around your belly button. So we're like supporting that, right? We're supporting our power. Okay, doke. Let's do one more pose while we're here standing up. So we'll just do some tree pose here. And first, let's set up our branches. Let's bring the hands and arms up like so, and then our palms together, and we're gonna come down the center line so that our thumb rests right against our sternum, right? And that sort of locks in our hands and our elbows, our whole upper body is in one solid, simple piece here. Okay, now with your feet flat, shift over to the left so you feel your left foot really receive the weight of your upper body. And then we're going to tip up onto the right tippy toes, right? Our right knee is pointed out to the side and we're leaning forward here through the front of the hips. That's just going to make our balance work better. Now lock your eyes on something that's still, right? Look at something that's not moving. And when you feel good about it, bring your right foot up, prop it inside your left leg. That's great, you guys. Whoa, let's bring the right foot down. And then we're going to shift over to the right. We just intentionally place our weight into the right foot. Get strong and heavy there. And we'll come up onto the left toes and check in before we pick the left leg up. Just let your toes sort of take them or leave them, right? Make sure you're solid on your right foot. And then lock your eyes on something that's still. And we'll bring the left foot up. Okay, fantastic. Let's bring the left foot down. That's excellent. And let's see, how are we gonna do this? Let's first step our feet together one last time, and we're gonna get a deep knee bend. And this time, we're gonna settle on down to the fronts of the feet, right? Use your hands and arms to press your knees towards one another. And it sort of makes like one big knee here instead of two separate knees. Just use your arms to sort of trap your knees. And then slowly let your upper body just sort of fold out over the knees. Take any sort of tension or solidity out of the back, right? Let it rest and expand here. Okay, now notice, open your eyes if they're closed and look how far away from the ground you are, and keep your head right there, right? Keep your upper body pretty much in the same place, but start to bring your knees towards straight. And when your heels touch down, pause there for a second and re-drop with the upper body, right? Really settle in, and then slowly take your knees closer to straight. And we just, again, we want to find that point where we feel it happening, but it's not overpowering, right? We feel the stretch in the back of the legs, but it's okay. Doesn't hurt, and it doesn't feel like we have to, oh, I can only make it for 2 more seconds, right? Find a place before that where you feel it, but it's not that bad. Okay, let's go ahead and bend our knees some more, and we're just going to come down to tabletop pose, which is just hands and knees. We got our back flat, like the top of the table. Okay, and we're going to take some cat-cow pose here, meaning we're going to be making the shapes of a cat and a cow. We're going to move that with our breath. So the inhale part of the breath is the cat, and that means our back is going up. Big curve, steep curve with the inhale is the cat, and then on the exhale, relax the front of the body and let your sternum and your belly sink down, and we're going to tilt up the tailbone and pick up the crown of the head. So high point, and then the exhale is the other way. The high point is our back, and the lowest points are the tailbone and the crown of the head. See if you can match the movements up with the phases of the breath. Okay, let's take a little bit of puppy pose. We're going to tuck our toes under, okay? And then take your hands forward a little bit, and then we're just going to slowly settle down towards our heels, right? Now, push with your hands. Use your hands and arms to push the upper body back. And if you want to take a little harder, you can lift your knees, right? You can hover your knees for a little while if that feels good or if it feels possible. Remember to breathe. Whether your knees are down or not, keep the push going, right? Keep the upper arms reaching back or pressing back. Okay, let's come back up to tabletop again just for a moment. And we're going to set up the same way, but this one is downward facing dog. So our toes tuck under. We're going to sit back. Once again, the hands go forward. We're nice and low behind the hands here. And then straighten the knees. And I like to think of it as just a big triangle, right? My legs to my hips is one arm of the triangle, and then my hips to my hands is the other arm. I know it's not really a straight line, but that's how I like to sort of visualize it. Close your eyes and see if you can picture what your skeleton is doing, right? Check in on because the skeleton is like the tent poles, right? The skeleton is the hard part that holds the whole thing up. Our skin is like the fabric, and our muscles are like the fabric of the tent. Try to get those tent poles just propped up against each other without the fabric having to do too much. All right, let's walk our dog, which just means straighten one leg at a time and let the back of the calves get one more bit of close attention. All right, Slowly bend the knees. Let's ease them back down to the mat. And let's have a seat again. Just easy pose. So we want to be upright. Easy pose means our spine is holding us up, but our legs and hips are just comfortable, right? So notice where you meet the floor, right? Notice the feeling of the ground or what's holding you up, okay? And then see if you can settle into that, right? Let your head balance on your shoulders, right? Balance your head so it's just propped up there. It doesn't take effort. Do the same with your shoulders. Get your shoulders so they're balanced atop your rib cage. Your shoulders are atop your rib cage. And then notice your ribs and let them settle, right? Because we have more room to move than we think. We can tuck our ribs back and lean forward. We can press our lower ribs forward. We can take it side to side. Make it feel effortless and comfortable, right? Make your ribs feel balanced and easy. And that's easy pose. One other thing that we'll check in with, make sure that your abdominal muscles are relaxed. Take your lower back and just gently press forward. And if you think of that, our skeleton again, we're just taking the biggest bones of our spine, which are the most stable and the most powerful and the most load-bearing, and we're holding them up under our center of gravity. We're just putting the strongest part of the body in place so it can do what it needs to do. Now our whole upper body is free and easy and floaty, right? No tension across the collarbones, our jaws nice and relaxed, our neck, we're just balancing. Okay, so we will wrap it up with a little bit of breathing practice tonight. This is probably my favorite one. This is the Darth Vader breath. The actual technical term for it is Ujjayi. That's from Sanskrit, which is an old language from India. Ujjayi means victorious. So this means the victorious breath. Well, what it does is to slow our breathing down a little bit. It makes our inhales last longer and our exhales last longer because we're putting like a blockage in our windpipe. But we're doing it ourselves. We're using our muscles to do it, right? It's the same muscles you use when you whisper. So if you just whisper to yourself, you know, whisper, whisper, whisper. It's that muscle, right? The whisper muscle. So what we're trying to do is just close that down one little bit so that when you breathe in, and try it first with your mouth open. When you breathe in, it sounds like this. And then when you breathe out, we keep that little bit of closure. It goes, all right? It's like, okay? Try it a couple more times. Inhale makes that sound. Exhale makes that sound. Yep. Now once you found it, and you're not squeezing so hard that you're running out of breath, it's just one little bit. Now close your mouth and breathe through your nose, right? Keep the little, you can still hear it in your head. And notice how that inhale is nice and long and full. And notice when you breathe in all the way, take a little bit of a pause, and then to me, it works mostly on the exhale, because if I don't do this, my diaphragm and my stomach muscles are really tight and it pushes the exhale out really fast. But when I do this, I can like sort of relax into the exhale and let the exhale leave slow and steady, and it slows and steadies my nervous system and my thoughts and my feelings too. All right, let's take a few more rounds of breath. All right, that's great, you guys. The best in me bows to the best in you. Namaste. Fantastic. At one point I was like, I need to turn the music down, but I forgot the music was on the thing here.